across this NHS article, on the NHS National Health Service UK website, and to read the definition of abortion given by the National Health Service, given the National Health Service is there to protect life. And before I read on, I'm going to prove to you now from textbooks, medical professions, etc., that a baby at the moment of conception is precisely that, a child, a human being at the moment of conception. Abortionfacts.com. Fact 1. Every abortion kills an innocent human being. It's not a human! No way! It's a fetus! It's just a clump of flesh! No way! Wow. Is that what you've been brainwashed to believe? Is it? Well, I think we need to read on, because you're going to be in for a little surprise. Yes, that's what you have been led to believe. And it's all a lie. It's a deception. From the moment we hear the word fetus. Do you know what fetus really means? It's Latin for offspring. Offspring of what? That which is pregnant with the offspring. That which is pregnant with the fetus. So the rabbit is pregnant. The offspring of the rabbit is a rabbit. And it's called the fetus. The rabbit, fetus, Latin for offspring, and the same with every other biological living organism. And that applies to humans. The fetus of a human mother is the offspring of that kind, the human kind. Latin fetus means offspring, not a clump of flesh, not a mishmash of bodily tissue, but the offspring. All the genetic information is there at conception. And we're going to read on 2 textbooks that clearly state this within their pages. We've got Keith Elmore, The Developing Human, Clinically Orientated Embryology, 7th edition, Philadelphia, P.A. Saunders, 2003. Human development begins at fertilization, the process during which a male gamete or spermatozoon development unites with a female gamete or oocyte, ovum, to form a single cell called a zygote. This highly specialized totipotent cell marked the beginning of each of us as a unique individual. A zygote is the beginning of a new human being. Did you hear that, folks? In the textbooks. There's another one. T.W. Sadler Langman's Medical Embryology, 10th edition, Philadelphia, P.A. Lippincott, Williams and Wilkins. I'll put them across the screen as I'm giving you them so you can follow along. Development begins with fertilization, the process by which the male gamete, the sperm, and the female gamete, the oocyte, unite to give rise to a zygote. Now, I must say the zygote is that which is the start of life, the sperm and the egg. As soon as the sperm hits the egg, fertilise the egg, that's the zygote. Boom! Life begins. And in that zygote contained is all the information required for a separate human being, distinct from its mother, distinct from its father. Yes, containing 50% of the information from its mother and 50% of the information from its father, but a separate human being with unique fingerprints, with unique DNA, with unique ears, eyes, hands, arms, legs, feet, body, hair, nose, teeth, heart, lungs, intestines, kneecaps, toes. Need I go on? Do you get the picture? So when we hear those murderous people saying it's my body, it's not their body. If they can prove to me that they've got 2 heads, 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 feet, 2 knees, 2 sexual organs, 2 bottoms, etc., etc., etc. Need to go on. If they can prove that, then they can say it's their body, but it's not their body. A unique individual, unique DNA, unique fingerprints, totally unique from the mother and the father. The zygote, formed by the union of an oocyte and a sperm, is the beginning of a new human being. Keith Elmore, Before We Are Born, Essentials of Embryology. Although life is a continuous process, fertilization, which incidentally, excuse me, is not a moment, is a critical landmark, because under ordinary circumstances, a new genetically distinct human organism is formed when the chromosomes of the male and female pronuclei blend in the oocyte. I hope I've spelled that correctly or pronounced it correctly. Ronan O'Rahilly, Fabio Muller, Human Embryology and Teratology. Human embryos begin development following the fusion of definitive male and female gametes during fertilization. This moment of zygote formation may be taken as the beginning or zero time point of embryonic development. William J. Lawson, Essentials of Human Embryology, New York, Churchill, Livingstone, 1998. It is the penetration of the ovum by a spermatozoan and resultant mingling of the nuclear material each brings to the union that constitutes the culmination of the process of fertilization and marks the initiation of the life of a new individual. Click Edward Corliss, Patents Human Embryology, Elements of Clinical Development. The term conception refers to the union of the male and female pronuclear elements of procreation from which a new living being develops. Yes, we say develops. You see, when a baby, a human being, is in the womb, from the moment of conception to the moment of birth, roughly 9 months later, they are at a different stage of development, moving along the developmental pathway. When they are given birth to, when the child comes out of the womb, it's still not able to look after itself. It still needs its mother to look after itself and its father to look after it. It's just at a different stage of development. And throughout its childhood, different stages of development, into adulthood, different stages of development. Just because it's in the womb and hidden from our sight, although we got evidence to demonstrate it's there, lots of different evidences, even though it's out of our sight, it doesn't make it any less human. It's just a certain stage of its development. You need to grasp this. This is essential because they're hiding these truths from you. Every time a sperm cell and ovum unite, a new being is created, which is alive and will continue to live unless its death is brought about by some specific condition. Need I say, abortion? E.L. Potter, J.M. Craig, Pathology of the Fetus and the Infant, 3rd edition. General text on embryology. Here we have: every baby begins life within the tiny globe of the mother's egg. It is beautifully translucent and fragile, and it encompasses the vital links in which life is carried from one generation to the next. Within this tiny sphere, great events take place when one of the father's sperm cells, like the ones gathered here around the eggs, succeeds in penetrating the egg and becomes united with it. A new life can begin. And that's beginning life, New York. Biologically speaking, human development begins at fertilization, the biology of prenatal development. The two cells gradually and gracefully become one. This is the moment of conception, when an individual's unique set of DNA is created, a human signature that never existed before and will never be repeated. In the womb, the National Geographic. Yes, the National Geographic. You won't hear about that on the BBC, will you? No, they're just interested in slaughtering the unborn children, in brainwashing people into killing their own offspring, etc. And here we have, in 1981, a United States Senate Judiciary Subcommittee received the following testimony from a collection of medical experts. Subcommittee on Separation of Powers to Senate Judiciary Committee, S158 Report, 97th Congress, First Session, 1981. It is incorrect to say that biological data cannot be decisive. It is scientifically correct to say that an individual human life begins at conception. Professor Michelin Matthews Roth, Harvard University Medical School. I have learned from my earliest medical education that human life begins at the time of conception. Dr. Alfred Bongianni, Professor of Pediatrics and Obstetrics, University of Pennsylvania. After fertilization has taken place, a new human being has come into being. It is no longer a matter of taste or opinion. It is plain experimental evidence. Each individual has a very neat beginning at conception. Another one here, Professor of Genetics, Dr. Jerome Lejeune. By all the criteria of modern molecular biology, life is present from the moment of conception. Professor Jaime Gordon, Mayo Clinic. The beginning of a single human life is, from a biological point of view, a simple and straightforward matter. The beginning is conception. Dr. Watson A. Bose, University of Colorado Medical School. The official Senate report reached the conclusion. Physicians, biologists and other scientists agree that conception marks the beginning of the life of a human being, a being that is alive and is a member of the human species. There is overwhelming agreement on this point in countless medical, biological and scientific writings. The American Medical Association declared as far back in 1857, referenced in the Roe v. Wade opinion, that the independent and actual existence of the child before birth as a living being is a matter of objective science. They deplored the popular ignorance that the fetus is not alive till after the period of quickening. And there are many more. I'll link this article below for you. So, you with that excuse, folks, scientifically, the baby at conception is a human being, human life, starting its pathway of development. Just like you did. Just like you did. Yep, and here we have it. Overview, abortion. An abortion is a procedure to end a pregnancy. Now, after hearing what I just read to you, can we first straight away recognise where they're wrong? Well, not where they're wrong, where they're trying to deceive people. Abortion is not a procedure to end a pregnancy. It may be that also, but it's certainly not the uttermost procedure to end a pregnancy. It's the uttermost procedure, abortion, to end a human life. So it should read, an abortion is a procedure to murder a human being in the womb. It also is sometimes known as termination of life, not a termination of pregnancy. The pregnancy is the life is ended. The life is ended either by taking medicines or having a surgical procedure. And it goes on how to get an abortion, and it gives you different methods of going to see your GP. You know, our general practitioners, I'm sure they would have sworn an oath to preserve life. And yet, they have not got the gumption, most of them. They have not got the courage, most of them, to stand up and say, no, this is not ending a pregnancy. This is ending a life, a human life. And it goes on about waiting times. And it goes on about when an abortion can be carried out. Deciding to have an abortion. The decision to have an abortion is yours alone. Yours alone. The decision to murder your child is yours alone. That child in the womb, which you are going to murder, yes, you, which you are guilty of murdering, is a human being. And I've just proven to you it's a human being. But it's nowhere in this NHS document telling us it's a human being. Nowhere at all. Some women may be certain they want to have an abortion, while others may find it more difficult to make a decision. Why is it difficult to make a decision if it's not a human being? Why would it bother anybody if it's not a human being? Why would these pictures across the screen, which I'm putting across the screen for you, bother you if this is not a human being, but just a clump of bodily tissue? All women requesting an abortion can discuss their options with and receive support from a trained pregnancy counsellor if they wish. Why? Why? It's just a clump of cells. Why do they need counselling? And it says impartial information and support are available from... It's not impartial at all. Because how can the NHS be impartial when they just say it's about ending a pregnancy? It's about ending a life. If you do not want to tell anyone, your details will be kept confidential. If you are under 16, your parents do not usually need to be told. The doctor or nurse may encourage you to tell a parent, carer or other adult you trust, but they will not make you. So, now the NHS is encouraging under 16s to hide the fact that they've murdered their unborn child after coercing them into murdering their unborn child. They are coercing that underage 16-year-old to murder the grandchildren of that 16-year-old's parents. And not only that, to murder their own children, and probably for lifestyle choices. I can't afford it. I won't be able to live my life how I want. And many more. And before you rant on, rape, incest, medical problems. Yes, they're horrendous, especially obviously the rape, horrendous crime. But you don't punish the child of a rapist, or the child of a murderer, or the child of a thief. For the murderers, the rapists and the thieves' crimes, we do not do that in a civilised culture. But it seems we're now heading into uncivilised culture land, where we do that. We murder the child conceived in rape because of the crime of its father, because of the crime of the rapist. It's acceptable. And bear in mind, it's a very, 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 very small percentage of abortions carried out due to rape. And also a very small amount of abortions carried out due to the life, etc., of the mother or the child being put at risk. 99 plus, or close to that figure, percent of abortions are carried out through lifestyle choices. I'm sure you can name a few. And this is horrendous, whereby they tell a child does not to tell its parents it's about to slaughter its own child and its grandparents, grandchildren. How sick. What kind of world are we living in, folks? If you go to a place that offers pregnancy counselling and you're not sure if they will refer you for an abortion, ask if they refer people for an abortion. And it goes on, what happens during an abortion. Well, we don't really need to read that, do we? I can tell you, an innocent human life, an innocent human being is executed in the womb. Executed in the womb. 40 million are slaughtered annually, every year around the world. 40 million unborn children innocent. And it says here, after an abortion, you'll probably need to take things easy for a few days. It's likely you'll have some discomfort and vaginal bleeding for up to 2 weeks. Doesn't mention any emotional problems, any guilt, any future medical problems. No, they're just treating with the physicality here. Yep. Risks of an abortion. Again, just the physicality, etc. There we have it, folks, the NHS. According to them, an abortion is a procedure to end a pregnancy. It may well be that, but more importantly, an abortion is a procedure to end a life. Abortion is murder, premeditated murder of an innocent human being at its first stages of development in the womb. That's the reality of it, whether you like it or not. Psalm 139, verses 13 and 14. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. Amen.